Can I go to this? And you also just make it.
I'm not sure it's really right now, trying to. Give me the note. Give me one. Sorry. Sorry, you're still. Okay. She is not on, I texted her, but I'm not sure what their schedule looked like today, so.
Okay. Good afternoon, I'm Janet Laurel, the acting chairman, and I would like to welcome everybody to this library board. June meeting. I want to take a moment right now to explain why you see me leveraging my notes. I have Sjogren's syndrome, which affects my ability to speak comfortably at times. So thank you for your patience and understanding. I call this meeting to order at 12:04.
I do have a microphone set up too. Is that probably?
I'm going to create a productive meeting place where every trustee and staff member are respected, valued, seen, and heard. We will take public comments before our discussions so that we can take your comments into consideration before our own comments, giving us a more efficient session. A reminder that all public comments are limited to 3 minutes. So I'm going to begin with the changes and additions to the agenda. I would like to make a change and an addition to the agenda. I would like to entertain a motion to postpone the action plan until next month, whereas we can define which activity is board, foundation, or director, and also give us an opportunity to work with the committee to rank priorities and produce a good long-term planning for the library's productiveness.
So new business item.
I will change it, yes. I will change the committee into new business. And refer to new business, Robert's Rules, page 11. And so would somebody entertain a motion?
I do a motion that we table, is that what you said, table the policy schedule for the big meeting and for the action. Thank you.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Thank you.
So we're tabling both the policy,
No,
I think I said
that.
she's
meant that.
just
just
that
the action,
one,
okay.
the one that lists every action for the year.
Okay,
which month and which farm.
okay.
Yeah, it's in our, at least it was. Yeah, so anyway, is there any further discussion?
And so you're just tabling it till the next meeting in July?
No, I want to see, okay.
Okay,
She said she wanted to make
define
a
which
committee.
activity.
Okay.
So we can define the activities on that.
okay, so we're just tabling.
Yeah,
this.
it's not anything about the policies,
Okay,
it's about the yearly report.
okay.
Do you see it, Kim?
The new business item.
I mean, the timeline in the back.
Okay.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll now vote on the motion, you have a change, and also in addition to the agenda. All in favor, say
Hey.
aye. All opposed? So the motion has been approved by voice, whereas the agenda can be changed. So next, our introduction of our new trustee. So because of the monies involved in running the library, the commissioners have a lawful authority to make appointments of trustees. They did the interviews with all applicants and listened to the feedback received. Their final decision was to appoint Jesselyn Ritland to replace Danny, who had retired from the board. I would like to introduce Jesselyn and have her tell a little something about herself.
Thank you. Madam Chairman, Board of Trustees, Director of the Chouteau County Library, and guests, good afternoon. I would like to thank the Chouteau County Commissioners for being thorough and following due process in their search to fill the Chouteau County Library Board open seat position for the Geraldine community. I thank them for their trust in me to fill this position and look forward to working for the residents of Chouteau County alongside the County Commissioners, Board of Trustees, Library Director, and employees of all of our library branches in order to provide our great county with the best experience the Chouteau County Library can put forward. For those of you who do not know me, and as I was just introduced, my name is Jesselyn Ritland. I have been a Chouteau County resident for 39, almost 40 years. My husband and I, along with our 4 boys, have called Geraldine home now for 12 years. We pay taxes, support businesses, and attend activities when we can in the Geraldine community. I myself am currently a stay-at-home mother. I farm alongside my husband on his family farm. I have been trained and have received my Bachelor's of Art in Psychology from Carroll College and my Doctor of Physical Therapy from Eastern Washington University. At this time, I would like to put to rest misinformation presented about me by an individual that was also presented in the River Press regarding my library usage and support of the library. While it is true that I, at the time of applying for this position, had never had the opportunity to meet Sammy Jo Summers, the truth of the matter is that I have in fact been an active participant in the Chouteau County Library for many years. And prior to Sammy Jo being the librarian, I was active in the Geraldine Library branch. As you are all aware, Sammy Jo has been the librarian in the Geraldine branch for about 2 years now. And during this time, I have read of her great success in the library and heard of how happy library members are with her work. My boys and I have recently had the opportunity to meet her and attend the summer reading program, of which they thoroughly enjoyed. However, prior to this time and when Sammy Jo was just hired, Brett and I were blessed with our 4th baby boy. Having a baby at home along with a 4-year-old and 2 boys in school in Fort Benton Elementary did not allow for a great deal of time to attend the Geraldine Library branch nor its activities. If we did go to the library, it was in the county seat, or I would use Libby, the online library app, to acquire books. Prior to the remodel of the Geraldine branch and the birth of our 4th son, my sons and I were very active in the Geraldine branch and the activities provided there. We had a great working relationship with Joan Trindle, the acting librarian during that time, and appreciated all that she did for us in the library. As of late, all of my boys still enjoy reading books. As 3 are in school, they often utilize the Fort Bend Elementary Library for their books of choice. During the school year, we still often use the Chouteau County Carnegie Library to supplement our reading when times allow and because of convenience. Upon applying for this position, there was no specification in our current board bylaws that state how often or which library should be utilized by a potential board member. In fact, when our library director, Emily Wicks, did place an ad in the River Press in March of 2024, calling for people to apply for the open board position, all that was requested, and I quote, If you consider yourself part of the Geraldine community and are interested in being considered for board service, please visit the library website and fill out an application. At this time, I would publicly like to forgive those who did not take the time to talk to me about my library usage, as well as for spreading misinformation about me. I do feel this was a huge lack of communication and improper applicant review, which I do pray never happens again to another applicant when applying for this board. My goal for sharing this was so Chouteau County residents and current board members may have full confidence that I am a regular participant in the Chouteau County Library and am up to date of the happenings of the Chouteau County Library branches and have the best interest of our library at heart. Finally, my goal for being a part of the Chouteau County Library Board of Trustees is to help to create an environment of trust and respect between residents of Chouteau County, sitting board members, our director, and the librarians throughout our branches. In the trustee handbook, we as trustees are held to create an environment of neutrality and equality despite difference in opinions. This should allow residents of this county to feel comfortable to approach us and have conversations so that they may feel heard when concerns arise and so actions can take place in the most prompt and civil manner possible. My greatest hope is to uphold the standards set by our state and our board of trustees by working together for all of Chouteau County residents. Thank you, Madam Chairman, for this time to speak, and I look forward to serving the residents of Chouteau County. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessalyn.
Thank you. Yeah, that was long.
Sorry, no, it was wordy. I apologize.
No. Thank you. Well, we'll move forward to, is there any public comments on the items of the agenda?
Janice, I don't know if I can speak right now, but because Jessalyn or Mr. Britland,
You can call me Jessalyn, that's just fine.
introduced herself, can I ask her a question?
No, they would have to ask the board a question.
Ask the board.
Mhm. And the open public comments will be at the end.
Perfect. I can wait. Thank you.
So the minutes have been sent to all the board members, and we've also received them today in the packets. Are there any changes to the May 22nd meeting minutes?
Look good to me.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Yeah, I have a second.
I second that.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll now vote on the motion to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. So now we have a time to look at our monthly financial report. I probably just have one question because, and I did look this up, is that when I wasn't at the meeting, but it was either Kim or Nancy and you, Emily, you said that you would give the names of the books that you were giving in. Unless the one.
Yes,
The monthly.
I mean, we have that, I send that out to the branches and it's available for
Okay,
anyone.
it's available at the branches. Oh, thank you.
Is that where we acquire it then is at the branches?
You can look at it there, I mean, from there.
Okay.
It's there.
So you don't have to pay for a copy.
Yeah,
If it's
yeah.
a lot of pages.
Well, I mean, monthly, it's not as much now because before we did like 2 years worth or whatever, but
Okay.
yeah, I email that out to the branches the day that the report is generated.
Thank you. Thank you.
It looks like you're still trying to make sure you purchase books from a variety of sources. Is that working well?
Yep.
Nice. And is this the last month of the fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
What we're doing here is we are checking the percentage that was used over over the 12 months.
Have you heard any word back on the new budget? Okay.
They also have a meeting and bring forth all the budgets to the public, it's usually advertised in the River Press.
Okay.
So the ones that are over 100%, just wait till next month?
So that is, the main thing is the bottom line. So I'll read the,
What's that, 84% for grand total? Page
so.
202.
Okay, thank you. Emily.
Yeah.
Cause there's a few that are
a lot.
but
Right.
kind of big.
And I try to remain cognizant of that, the ones that are over, and to make sure that there are still monies
So
available.
some are over 100%,
Sure.
but then
The library overall,
this is the total.
perfect, is the 22-20 library fund. And that's our total amount, it's on, well,
On the page 2 of 2.
yeah,
Yeah.
the 326,696, 84%. But that still is not, that doesn't count June, so
No,
we're
it
at
doesn't,
84% at 11 months, so.
Yeah, we're not at the end of June, and all those come in still. May I have a motion to accept the monthly financial report? If everybody's gone through it.
I make a motion to accept the financial report for this month.
Is there a second?
May.
Oh, second.
Are there any objections? We'll now vote on the motion to approve the financial report. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any objections? Motion carried. So. We're on to branch reports.
I probably should have said this at the beginning. Sammy Jo asked if maybe she could do her report towards the end of the meeting.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But
She's
she's
reading for them too.
she's not on yet,
Yes,
because she
I can
wanted to talk
understand.
about it last weekend
Okay,
herself, because I wasn't there, so I'll go through.
so,
Big Sandy themes for May. Remember, this is May, I mean, we're at the very end of June, but for May, Big Sandy themes were Mother's Day, spring, May the 4th, be with you, finance and alphabet. And they were working on getting summer reading ready. It looks amazing inside, all their decorations, that's great. Fort Benton themes for May were Mother's Day, families, AAPI, which is Asian American and Pacific Islander Month, birds, butterflies, bees, and other bugs, volcanoes, military/Memorial Day, mental health, and Jewish American Heritage Month. Projects included the Pathfinder Luncheon. We launched the reader advisory displays. Right now it's young adult and adult displays. And then, I talked about communication with the Highwood superintendent last month at the meeting. There's been no change in that. So hopefully Sammy Jo can get on towards the end and
I put it down here.
do that, so.
And that reader advisory is a person kind of puts their favorite books out.
They make a list for me and then I look them up and, yeah, Wendy, yeah,
Did one,
had the
yeah.
first one, yeah. And we've actually had, people like to pick books off of there.
Are there people that volunteer for that, or do you just get a
Um,
hold of people?
Well, to start with, I was asking people who come in a lot, and then I'm hoping as it takes off, people will come and volunteer, yeah, and expand it into the children's room.
Yeah.
I kind of approach some families about children's books, but you're like, well, my kids don't like necessarily have
Yeah.
favorite ones,
Right.
but I am looking to, it was kind of a soft launch this summer
Mhm.
to feel it out, and then when school starts,
Sure,
I'm hoping
pick it
to
up
do
more.
more with that, yeah.
Very cool.
So, I have a good vibe. All the libraries have been posted their summer reading project, and I feel they've done an excellent job. I'm really excited for them and us. Looks very good.
And the kids.
Yeah,
Kids
and the
need to be having
kids.
fun.
And I really appreciate that you allow older kids to volunteer on an informal setting once they've outgrown the summer reading program. It's nice for them to,
For sure.
yeah, kind of stay in the system, but not be disruptive because it's younger than they are.
I'll give good vibes to Sammy Jill. We had a really great time at, Story Out West Wednesday. Mhm.
And Emily takes notes while she's, yeah. So for I thought you were answering your email.
My secretary.
And now we're just looking at the branch totals and the circulation. Statistics. There's director's report.
I only have one item this week. There was a small article in the paper last week or the week before. Sylvia has moved to a new home as of last week.
Thank you. Announcements and dates to remember.
All the branches will be closed on the 4th of July, next Thursday. And then the next community conversation in the series, which kind of the series is coming to an end, but it's kind of has birthed its own, hopefully continuing culture, is Ambryn Massoud, is part of Humanities Montana. So that Zoom link should be on the webpage. I'm still trying to figure out how to include Zoom links that aren't 35 lines long, but so that's Monday, July 15th at 5:30 p.m. in Fort Benton. People can attend in person or Zoom in. And the topic is, do we know our fellow Americans? Ambryn will be joining us out of Billings.
At what time did you say?
5:30.
5:30.
Yeah, we've been providing light food at those sessions. I know it's hard to get off work and either have to wait a long time for dinner or to try to figure out something to eat quickly. So we've been having soup and crackers.
Oh, very good. So we're gonna move down to the meeting room policy. This will be the third reading of our meeting room policy. I would like to entertain a motion for approving the meeting room policy as it was reviewed by the policy committee
So the policy committee met on
Wednesday.
last week.
Yeah,
It was
Thursday.
Thursday.
We removed one sentence, I think. So I think it was 8. I think if I remember right, basically there was a sentence that said we reserve the right to refuse.
Well, it didn't say refuse, but not be allowed for political, ideology, or religious services.
And then,
Proselytizing.
because I think we just removed that sentence and just went straight into, it is up to our discretion. Was that what you remember, Jan? We just went straight into it is our discretion on who can be allowed based on their content.
Oh, okay, so they're up to the discretion of the board or the librarian
Uh,
I think it's supposed to be to the policy.
I think it refers to what is at that time. Many times it's up to the director.
Okay.
and at the branches, it's librarian on duty.
Because we felt that we didn't need enough necessary, I think Janet felt it was possibly illegal to reference religion directly as a reason that you would not let someone have a meeting.
Right.
And we figured we didn't need that since it was just kind of an explanatory sentence.
Right, right, yep. And according to the First Amendment for the library, at least the library bill, right? So anyway. So can someone entertain a motion to approve the reading room policy? Has everybody looked at it? Are you reading it now?
I did, yeah.
I did, I left it home.
Okay,
It's fine. Yeah, I looked at it. I would like to entertain a motion to accept the, meeting room policy as written
I'll
and
second.
corrected, yes.
and corrected.
Okay,
Yes.
my apologies.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, we will now vote on the motion to approve.
I think you need to call for public comment.
Oh, okay. Is there any other discussion or public comment?
The only question I have, so this amendment, and if that means everyone's included, can have a meeting here if they want to, as long as they're not pushing an agenda or.
Well, really, anyone can have a meeting at all. We took
Right.
that part out.
Yes, we took that part out.
So, yeah, I would like to, chat with the board about that to make sure that there is an understanding that it is any groups at all. So then if you have someone approach you that they feel, that the library is pushing an agenda, because that's what has been
Mhm.
stated
Mhm.
to me. That is the policy, period. And then, and I mean, and within the meeting room policy, it does state that, number 4, under usage, use of the library's meeting rooms does not in any way constitute an endorsement by the library for that group's policies or beliefs. Misrepresentation of this may result in the loss of meeting room privileges. So, the preferred chain of command is if someone comes to you with a complaint, that you refer them to the director to discuss it and to look, but that's what the policy is there for. So it's any groups at all
Right.
is where we're at.
Well, I think you clarify it well, that it's not the view of the library.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So,
just a meeting room.
We've just
So-
had a lot of that over the last 2 years, is that, that I am pushing an agenda, or the library in general is pushing an agenda, and I just really truly hope that the board members, the community members come to them. Make sure that it's very clear that.
So you're saying if somebody comes to us, that we can just state to you,
Mhm.
that
We can
this
say
is
you
what's
can-
being asked and
Yeah.
that you can clarify.
Yeah, and that they should, contact me, which
For
could be email or phone or
Okay.
in-person visit.
Perfect.
So I wrote down, the policy should emphasize the importance of the content of the meeting room, not the beliefs of the group holding it. It should be based on objective criteria like purpose, noise level, and adherence to the general library rules.
I thought that was written very well to cover all of that.
Mhm.
And that's, Sissy, that's pretty common, isn't it? If you have a public space, it's a very narrow, the reasons you can prohibit people from using it.
Correct.
Right. It
Now,
does
the
not.
principle is so that they can use the library and it offers its meeting space equally to all groups.
Yes.
So here's a question. What if we have a radical group that's.
Like a cult or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Moonies
The
come in.
terminology I should use. Would they still be allowed to be here, or is it up to the board saying,
Why
You know,
don't we
stuff
still
like
have a
that.
little word involved in
But I think we have to allow almost anyone to meet unless they are,
it?
they're
That's what it-
blatantly.
exactly, so
Yeah.
if a cult wanted to come in,
Mhm.
so it would. Are there guidelines for like language or hate speech or? Because
I think
hate
that's in there,
speeches
in the
are
policy.
covered under federal law.
So it is,
Yeah.
number 8 says meeting rooms are not available for groups promoting hatred or illegal or
Okay.
treasonous activities.
And I think part of the built-in protection is that anyone can come because it's the library, so the idea is if the
Right.
Moonies came,
Correct.
word would get out and people could come and,
Mhm.
which now I don't know if the Moonies is still an active cult, but theoretically.
I know
they're a
what
cult,
you're saying,
right?
I just, you know, to protect the library under federal laws, you have to watch.
How you
how you approach and say, we don't accept.
Yeah.
That sounds like you have it written, no hate, no.
Yes,
Okay.
Emily did a great job. So is there, can we vote now on the motion? To, for our meeting room policy?
Did we make?
No,
Yeah, I did make a motion.
okay, so all in favor say
Hey,
any objections? Motion carried. So I moved into new business. Do we have any other old business?
Unfinished business, not.
Not that I'm aware of. Okay. So. So I would like to entertain a motion to make a committee in order to plan for the action plan that we're going to have from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. I think Emily's idea of a long-term plan is a great initiative. It is important to have a clear vision for the library's future. To make this meeting productive and gather a wide range of ideas effectively, I propose forming small committees beforehand. Each committee could focus on their specific aspect of the long-term plan. We must keep in mind that our core funding comes from the county. The committee can prioritize initiatives that can be realistically funded within that budget. By forming committees and focusing on realities will allow for in-depth discussion within smaller groups, so everyone has a chance to contribute based on the collections, technology, programs, or outreach, and guidance is productive for a long-term planning process in the library. So I would like to.
Can I make some?
Yes.
So, I would like to go over this still, actually. I sat down, Tracy Cook came from Great Falls on June 5th. And we sat down and put this together. I would like to go over it line by line. I think Janet brings up some really great points. So this action plan in and of itself hits on very broad, actually like legislated things that we need to meet. So it's broken down by fiscal quarter. The fiscal year starts on July 1st. So under the activities, so number 1 listed there, trustee onboarding education. We've had a lot of talk about new trustees. We have each year now, pretty much we're going to be getting a new trustee. Nancy's term is up next year and then Kim's term is up the year after that. Like we're on there. So Tracy felt it was important, and July is a time, it's the beginning of the fiscal year, but the budget's not approved yet. There's not a lot of other things we can necessarily do at that point. So to take that time, trustees, part of the requirement is trustees have 3 hours of continuing education each year. And so that would be part of that. So trustee onboarding education as well as continuing education. And we can discuss how this happens. This is an action plan to give us some guidelines and some checkpoints. The summer reading programs are happening at each branch at that point. The public library standards form is due. That's a report that I fill out. That's due July 26th. Federation annual reports are due at the end of this week, actually. No, next month, early in the month. And then as you can see in each square is review and update policies as needed, which I will talk about when we get to the policy calendar, and then normal library operations.
can I interrupt you just for a
Yes.
second? I guess that's why I was confused, Janet, because this seems like a very broad.
Well,
It doesn't seem like it holds us to anything, but it also requires a lot of specialized knowledge that we as trustees don't necessarily
That's
have.
true, but so like the public library standards form, I just wanted to maybe have a D, it's what the director does. The Federation annual reports, the director does.
Yes, and
But,
so,
but-
can I finish
Yeah.
going over it first though?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have specific questions within a
That makes
quarter. In October is the Pathfinder meeting that we host So then, this is where the board of trustees, the foundation, the director and all staff would meet in that second quarter. To create that, to start creating that 3 to 5 year strategic plan. And begin work on a capital improvement plan that we have been talking about. The Montana State Library Public Library Annual Statistics data is due, and that is for me. I guess I could have put some of
Yeah, I
these
think
in there.
that's what
So we
I-
can probably just make notes. That's mine. And again, review and update policies as needed that I'm gonna talk about. And then normal library operations plus provide services as needed for Chouteau County Country Christmas, which would be, it has been historically the Fort Benton and Big Sandy branches. Third quarter, beginning of the calendar year, we would work on finishing that strategic plan. Finish that capital improvement plan. So between 2 quarters, that's 6 months that we would have to work on that. And it doesn't, again, this isn't set in stone. If we're not done by March 31st, we're gonna throw the baby out in the bathwater. It just, it gives us some goals. I begin but working on the fiscal year process, gathering data to put together to present, review and update policies as needed and normal library operations. And then in that final quarter, again, we host the spring Pathfinder meeting. The board of trustees adopts the preliminary budget. We look at that board appointment process. Again, that starts in early April. Because again, Nancy's position will be up, Kim's will be up. So we can review that process. Complete board evaluation for the past year, that came from the state library. Branches are doing summer reading planning, again, review and update policies as needed. So yes, these are very broad. I think committees are a great idea, but this just says that we're all coming together today as director and trustees, that we have this overall layout.
It's not a binding
So
thing.
it's not a
Like,
binding
it's hard for
contract,
clients.
no, it's kind of like when we
It's like a two.
adopt the calendar, the trustee calendar for the year. And so, and if things need to be added, we can add to them. If something needs to be pushed back, we can push them back. It just gives us a very concrete thing to look at. And to form committees from and to do those things,
But
so.
does that make sense, Jan? I mean, just from
It
my
does.
perspective,
When I
it seems like
look
it's
at-
overkill to
If
have
I
a
can see
committee
the
to look at
foundation, the
plans.
director and all staff members meet together. I just felt that a committees, that the trustees have a different vision than the staff members do, than the foundation does. Foundation now, I've heard them talk about having a bookmobile. But then there's aspects there that would have to come back to the trustees because of the fact that there would still be monies for maintenance, for fuel, for storage, for books, for, what salaries, whatever. So that was my concept when I read this. I wanted to just broke down what the director does need to do or what we do. So we actually can work.
So you want a 3-level plan based on roles? Like activity broken out into a 3-level of what the
Yes.
director?
Yeah.
should-
And especially, I cannot see a 15 meeting program with the trustees, the foundation, the director, and all the staff to look at this. I need the director, I need the staff and the director, they have excellent ideas. Us as trustees will have ideas and foundation, but we're all still committed to the core funding from the county.
I agree, it just seems like this plan is a totally separate, it seems like this is just a guideline that would be useful, like it just.
So then, as
Totally
it's laid out,
separate.
then we know if we do want to attempt to have a full meeting, like it would be probably. Well, and it could be, I mean, if you start planning there, I mean, it lays it out so that we can see it, and it's not a binding contract, but it's like. The fact that we have sat down as a board and say that these are things that we would like to
To do on
do.
a.
I've been asking to work on the capital plan since I started,
Oh,
and so
yeah.
that's part of why it's on.
So I
here,
think
that
it
gives
was
us a very black and
great
white.
initiative. I'm just hoping that, I thought of the whole concept that we needed to just break it down between what the director does, what the trustees do. That was all.
So you wanna form a committee to take this plan and expand it by role?
That would work.
I
Or I
guess,
could just go through it right now and say, what is like, so in the top one. If we were to do, I guess, do you want it by director and staff also? Because the,
Well,
starting at
you-
the top,
if you want
trustee
to-
onboarding education and trustee continuing ed would take, or is for the trustees.
Mhm.
And that can be some in meeting education, they have the short videos that we've talked about, but also independent learning. Summer reading programs are by the librarians, Public Library Standards Forum is the director, that is something that I do. Federation Annual Report is something that the director does. Review and update policies, again, I think that will make more sense when I give my other part.
Okay.
And then, so then Pathfinder meeting, that's usually one trustee, well, not usually, one trustee has to go
Yes.
with the director. So now if we just skip the all
Yes.
together meeting and just say it could just be the committees are formed to look at that. But I think it is important for everyone to sit down so we are all on the same page for strategic plan and capital improvement. The public library annual statistics is a report that the director fills out. And then in the third quarter, it says finish strategic plan, but again, we can push that back. Those give us very specific goals. Oftentimes, it's easy to be more reactionary, you know, something comes up and we deal with putting out those little fires. Personnel evaluations, I think I skipped that the first time through, that's director for the staff and the trustees for the director. I begin the budget process, it's getting that information together.
What forms get used? Do we have a baseline form for all of those? Cause I saw in our manual, there's several.
The evaluation.
Yeah,
We have one that we have
You've adopted.
developed over the last couple
Thank
of
you.
years, I can look for that. and
perfect,
send it.
thank you, I appreciate that.
And then in the fourth quarter, again, the adopt the budget is for the trustees. The board appointment process, it comes from the trustees, board evaluation. Yeah. So I mean, I think that this overall gives us kind of list what we need committees for, if
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yes, it
Yes.
does.
And I think we can work on that next month. We could just, as the trustees, sit down during the meeting and take, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes to say,
Okay.
let's form these committees.
I just didn't see a reality of having 15 people talking, you know, whereas you.
Well, and we would have a facilitator for that.
Yeah.
Tracy, I guess I probably should have put that in my director report. Tracy Cook is now going to be a federation consultant for a different federation, so we will be having a new person. We don't have their name yet. They will start, July 8th. So I will have more information on that later, but we would have someone who would come in and who does that kind of facilitation.
But like I
Profession.
said, it
So-
just stems around that we all have different interests.
Right,
Yeah, may I speak? I didn't like the one of everybody coming together. That's why I thought maybe if they were prepared, like the trustees, the foundation, directors, staff, if they knew what wanted to go into this plan, if they could meet before, and then we could come together.
yeah, and
Is
that's
that
fine.
what you meant?
I mean,
Okay,
yeah, that's just the goal.
okay.
Again, is to have it on there. Oftentimes, it's easier to do things on a checkoff list when it's is listed to see to keep it.
Sure. I really appreciate the action plan. I think that's very helpful to have a goal for the next year.
Yeah, thank you.
But since we changed the agenda, we can't adopt it because we removed that item.
Well, I think since it was on there, you can,
Okay.
discussion.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding you, Jan, it's just one of those days, I guess. When I see this, it seems like a fine thing to adopt, because it doesn't have any hard lines that we're held to.
When I see it and I get it, I look at it and I go, Federation annual report due, that's not really neat. That's what I'm thinking.
So you think this is just inappropriate for the trustees, since it's not all trustee?
I think she
Business?
just wanted the clarification, which Emily did great
Yeah,
doing.
which you had, she gave the clarification.
Just that
That
it
was
all-
all. See, and I
I think
did,
it's great.
I did
Yeah,
add
I like
it
it.
along the side.
Except maybe before we all get together, we could have met with our bunch, you know, the foundation, the director, staff. And so when we come together, we'll have some things to discuss.
So maybe if we add a sentence at the start of it that just says, this is a broad outline,
Yes.
able to be
yes, okay.
changed.
Yes, okay. So. So I would like to entertain a motion to approve the action plan, knowing that it's a broad spectrum. Is that okay?
I will make a motion to approve the action plan.
Are we adding that sentence at the beginning or just? leaving it?
No, we have to, first we have to second it, then we go back into
Okay.
discussion.
Okay.
With the public. Is there any further discussion or public opinion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Motion carried. So now we can have Sandy's report possibly.
Well, I would like to present and review the
Oh,
policy
okay.
schedule. And she's not on this, so that's her. Okay, so. So the policy project is something we've been working very hard on. The policy committee was before Janet and Danny and I, and now it is Janet and Kim and I. From the top. Trustee bylaws, I'm looking at that side. So. Last updated or last approved updated. So that says the last time that the board voted to approve either a new policy or to approve one that has been changed. And so. Yeah, in 2022, approved the bylaws once and then looked at them again in 2024. So you go down through there. And then on the back side, you can see where we have 4 more. We did the meeting room policy today, so I will add that on. The committee is working on an animal policy as well as a volunteer and discipline policy. And so when those get added, I will send that out. The goal is to not have any more than 2 blank spaces between each review.
Yeah.
Some of them will be reviewed more. The way the meeting room policy reads is that it will be reviewed annually. So that will theoretically be in every column. But besides that, it's every 2 years. If someone comes with a complaint about or a question about a policy, the board can review it at that time. There's nothing to say that it can only be done once every 3 years. But to make sure, again, much like the action plan, when it's in black and white and it's on there, it's just much easier to do. So moving forward, so next month, we will have the animal policy for first reading and hopefully maybe one of the other ones, maybe not. But I will just pretty much start at the top and put 2 to 3 policies on each meeting. That will be on the agenda. Hopefully, and we'll talk about binders in a little bit. You can read through it, look at it. It should be a fairly quick process. If there's something that needs to really go back to committee to really work on writing or legalities, then we can kick that back to committee and then bring it back. But overall, hopefully, since we've done such a thorough process over this last 18 months, there won't be a need for lots and lots of different things. So that brings me for general housekeeping. I did change it on the web page. It is in this order now. They are all linked. You can go on and look at them. And I did include that last approved date on the web page. So I think I might have given your binder away. But I would like to make sure everybody has a hard sided. I thought I had done that, but I couldn't remember. And then the ways to tell, yes. Yeah, what the date is I've been working on putting on each one. Reviewed, some of them will have reviewed by the policy, most of them by the policy committee on the date that the committee met. And then, so like this one says, reviewed by policy committee 4/3/24, approved by the Chouteau County Library Board of Trustees, April 27th, 2017. So when I update this, I will add whatever today is, June 26th, 2024. And so all of that information will be on there, so it will have the history of the policy and all of the times that it was approved. There was some confusion about that when we were looking at policies in the past, just because it hadn't been necessarily updated, didn't mean there was not a policy in place.
Correct.
So,
Thank you, Emily. Emily's done a terrific job in
Thank
putting
you.
our policies together. And it helps us too, because when there is a policy and you have a question about it, you can go to the website and see what the policy is.
so, and then what I'm also working toward is then on site at each branch, there will also be a binder if someone comes in. Where it gets a little bit trickier though is when you have your binder at home, if something gets changed and you need it printed, to make sure that you take out and throw away your old policies out. So I went through a lot of stuff this week of my own upstairs, trying to go through all of that to make sure that they're, and then each branch, it will be consistent throughout the whole system and with all of the trustees.
That's part of our onboard education.
Right.
Yes.
So this isn't something to pass or not pass, it's kind of a director report, but just, I wanted to make sure it had its own time on there.
Being so
So,
thorough.
yes,
Thank you. We're very
You
thrilled.
need a bigger binder.
I know, this is the whole fiscal year though, I'll go through and take out the financial stuff, but I try to keep it in, but I do need a bigger binder.
Our fiscal year is from June 30th to.
Sandy Joe hasn't been able to get on, so if I just could
Go back
do
to,
a quick, she, her themes for May were Mother's Day, preservation, Holocaust Remembrance Day, and Memorial Day for May. But the project, the big project that she has been working on is the oral history aviation in Geraldine project. And so she was open, and unfortunately didn't make it in the article about Fun Day, but she was open Friday afternoon for folks that maybe were coming into town. It was more of an open house, not a. It was an open house, not a like scheduled program, but she had put a video together that she had playing on loop. And then actually when it was time to close, she set it up in the window of the library, and she said that when that got around, lots of people came and watched it through the window. So she is doing so much work on it. Is trying to get some folks who are willing to be interviewed. That's kind of the little bump in the road right now, is there are people that know a lot about it, but don't really want to sit down. So we have talked with Bethany, and hopefully maybe in July, when things slow down, right? Number slows down, but to maybe get an article written about it, and then hopefully that will help others feel more comfortable being interviewed. She's gotten lots of pictures, lots of written things, but it's an oral history project, kind of like StoryCorps. So we're hoping to get that. We got a recorder for her to use, and she's just been doing a ton of work on that.
And this is all on aviation.
Yeah, aviation in Geraldine. She's gotten some information from the county in a broader sense that maybe someday we'll go into that, but wants to keep it pretty ultra focused on Geraldine for right now.
That's cool. So we should have another kudo.
Yeah.
Sammy.
It's been great.
That's a good vibe.
Good, a great vibe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sammy. And Emily.
And then that's.
So is there any public comment items not on the agenda under the jurisdiction of the board?
Did George want to speak first? Did you want to speak, George? They're taking public comment now. If you want to. Okay.
Okay, I do. My name is Sissy Felton for the record, and I will address the board because I don't want to be disrespectful to Ms. Ritland over here. I have concerns of, I know she's on the board now, but I'm concerned about her personal beliefs just from her Facebook post, her signing the petition against the library, her writing of the letter she wrote to the board, and her personal convention, how she believes is great. I don't have a problem with that. She has every right. I'm wondering if she can separate her personal beliefs and be able to look out for everyone in the library and follow federal and Montana rules and regulations. I'm really concerned because of her beliefs, which is fine. It's great. I'm glad she has belief. I'm really concerned if she can separate the two and not have an agenda to change bringing her beliefs into the board. Thank you.
So I'm,
Can someone reply?
so I'm not saying the commissioners have the lawful authority. And they told me that they got many letters. And they interviewed all the applicants. And they listened to the feedback. So, I think we all come on with a little bit of agenda. I know I did because I love the library and I used it so much. That was before Google, okay? So, and, I actually, my daughters were still asking for information when they were in college. And I told my husband one day when we dropped off here at the library, I said to him, I taught my kids so well to use the library, to look up everything. He said, then why are you here? So, but,
Madam Chair, if I could, I would
yes,
like to address.
okay,
I appreciate your concerns. Of course, everybody here has an opinion and are allowed to give that opinion outside of a board. And I will address the board, that is true, and I did sign the petition. But I view this as a job, and in a job setting, you should leave your agendas at the door. And so as I addressed when I gave my initial statement today, my biggest hope is to be a voice for everybody in Chouteau County, not just an agenda or an opinion. But I appreciate your concerns.
Thank you.
And Sissy, it sounds like your main focus is that we behave legally as a board.
Correct.
And I also
Yeah.
stated that I,
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'd assume that the onboarding and the training would be good for all of us, if that's an issue. I'm just curious, are we gonna talk about the cat? Do you want to talk about the
Can I
cat?
respond a little to what?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that able?
I think public comment.
You don't know anything about me, Sissy.
Sure.
You don't know what my beliefs are. You don't know, just because I didn't write a letter in a, some of the stuff just stands out because she wrote a letter. You don't, everyone here, we don't sit down and talk about what our beliefs are. And I think that's very rude in a sense, because we are here, like Jess said, this is a job and we have to learn to get along together and to put our personal beliefs aside when we need to. And I think that was, I think what you said was very rude. Okay?
Do you want to talk about the cat, or are we not gonna talk about the cat?
If anybody has
questions.
I'm Cynthia Wellington. My history here at the library dates back to 1973 when I moved here to teach school. Our principal vouched for all of the new teachers to get library cards. That was 51 years ago. I worked here as a clerk for 22 years. I was president of Friends of the Library, and there were never any community complaints during that time. I'm hoping we can start anew this summer. If you were on the board, it would be nice if you actually attended the programs at the library and participated in the activities that go on there. I look around, and at the branch libraries, I look around and there are very rarely any board members. There have been excellent speakers and notable authors from Montana. Where were you? MSU Extension was here to speak on community boards. The entire Golden Age Center board attended, and we learned a lot, as did the rest of the sizable crowd. I have the information from that evening for those of you library board members who weren't there. The advertising in the River Press, and I just happened to pick this up and because this was on the front, this was incredibly interesting. And then I opened it up and here was another article about the library right above it. And then I went through, and this was all just in the last hour. Here's another article about community input for library standards. I hope that you all filled that out. And summer reading at your library. So there's a lot of reason. Our River Press supports us incredibly. The staff here is probably more knowledgeable than libraries, any staff since I moved here. They all know it all, soup to nuts. They do community outreach at the Golden Age Center, Sunrise Bluffs, the Visitor Center, and the Front Range. If an organization wants a program, they are willing to do it. We need to keep in mind that the library isn't a church. It's a safe and welcoming place for all those who need it. No agenda is pushed on anyone. The library is financed by the county and adheres to its budget. If money is needed for a project such as the matching funds for books for the community, children's books, the community steps up and helps out. Let's have civility be part of our library. Thank you. And Janet, I hope no one ever treats your daughters the way you've treated my daughter.
Are you talking? Yeah, okay. I am part of the Chouteau County Allies, and I just wanted to make it clear that there will be a gay pride float in the parade on Saturday. It is sponsored by the Chouteau County Allies and has absolutely nothing to do with the library, and no library patrons other than those who have volunteered will be making anything or having anything to do with that float, just so everybody is clear and there's no confusion about where that float is coming.
Thank you. That's good to know.
What? And you ended with music.
So I have a question. If we agreed at the beginning of this meeting to have to be, oh, I can't find the paper, to be cooperative and not rude and
Yeah,
and support each other, does that mean that people from the audience can say things like that?
I believe Janet touched on that. It's under freedom of speech. As long as it's not untrue. Or,
but I would like to see more respect, more value to all the jobs we do. We actually don't get a dime for doing this. We really don't. This is monthly. For some of us, it's yearly. I mean, yeah, no gas, no nothing, you know, so.
So you feel like you should be paid?
No, I don't, not at
She's
all.
just stating that,
I'm just stating that.
I think she's just stating we're volunteers and we have our best interest at heart for the library.
Well, I think Cynthia makes an interesting point. I think next time we advertise for a trustee, we should include an approximate number of hours required. Cause that can be kind of a surprise, especially if we kind of step up and be like, we're trying to require attendance to things. That would be a great increase in the hours required.
And I know I do the Zoom meetings when I can.
Okay, just not in person.
I actually struggled with one of the Zoom meetings. I tried to do, the one that was actually in the paper that she just mentioned, and I struggled to get on the link to that.
I know, so like I said, I've been really trying to.
I'm
visit
just saying,
copies.
If I had
So
trouble,
much,
I
yeah.
wonder if others are also,
Yeah.
and I should have contacted you before.
I need to actually probably talk to Sammy Grove because she's done a really great job getting those.
I know
on
Zoom
there.
links
They're
are
so
not-
hard to figure out
yeah.
how she does that.
They're hard to,
Cut and
copy and paste. Yeah, that just doesn't work.
I know I write a whole page of numbers and everything else, and then I go, I didn't get in, I better start again, so.
So as I
You
understand,
can cut and paste those, you know.
They don't always transfer.
I know it
correctly.
doesn't, it's something about it, even the one where it says it gives the shorter link to the invite, and I can't figure out if that's.
And that's what I
doing it
struggled
wrong. I know.
with a couple times, so, that might be why there's a lack of Zoom participation.
and so we're supposed to, this is the time for the public to comment, not for us to bring up topics.
No, I think, yeah, anybody can.
Well, I would be curious on why the cat got relocated.
I can speak towards that. I talked to the grandmother whose daughter wanted to come to the summer reading program last year and told that she's allergic
Mhm.
and she is very allergic. And so this year she was in tears because she really wanted to come to the summer reading program. And because of the cat, she couldn't. So actually it was her father who
The child's
decided,
father or the grandmother's father?
the father of the child
Okay,
approached a librarian and it was their decision.
It was a staff decision, yes.
okay, because the story I was heard was that, a patron called and threatened to kidnap the cat and dispose of it. And so at that point, staff were in fear of the cat's safety.
Can you speak to that?
Yes, that would happen.
Okay. Would the staff member be comfortable making a police report?
I'm not sure,
Okay,
it was not directed to me.
okay. Well, cause unless it was, I guess it could be Kirby, but if a staff member would be willing to make a police report, I would support that as a board member. I think animal cruelty is inappropriate. Whether in real life or threatened.
And the father was going to go to the ADA and we already only have one right now. We're waiting for a decision on.
But
So
there's a
was their
difference
father.
between, filing a complaint
Mhm.
and doing it in a threatening manner.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that. I just know that's the reason why.
Yes.
And so then we are reviewing the animal policy to have that in
Yes.
place.
Yes,
Started that last.
In case that goes further.
yes, yes.
How long
Yes.
have we had the cat before she was relocated?
October of 2021.
Okay, so
And
3
the
years.
cat came in without the decision from the discussion from the board.
I don't remember discussing it, but I think at that point. I mean, the cat was in-house, but we discussed it at the board and were aware of it.
So was there a discussion when you had turtles and birds?
But those
Before my
aren't,
time.
those aren't allergens, correct?
Well, and the turtle, there was discussion about the turtle when I was here because turtles have a tendency, we didn't let people handle the turtle, but there's just salmonella and
Okay.
things like that. And there are people who are allergic to birds, but
Yeah, they can at all.
Yeah, there'll be a new animal policy. It was approved by the policy board this last week. So it will probably be presented.
Well, I'm very sorry that you and staff had to deal with that. That had to be frustrating to be alone at the library and trying to figure out what you're gonna do if someone comes to kidnap Sylvia. Yeah.
I never heard that. Our next meeting date is 12 o'clock on Wednesday, August 28th,
24.
24th.
I only say that because I had accidentally put August on there.
Got the white.
It should be July, okay. Yeah, I think I copied that off the agenda. So
still
our
in-
meeting,
Yes.
our meeting is adjourned at 1:10.
are you guys gonna be balanced?
Emily, can I have you take my cell phone off as a, reference for me? I would rather just.
And this one is only for board members.
Right,
Well, I know, but else. Yeah, I didn't want which one's yourself.
I just wanted to double check that it was just by, I would prefer just my home.
Is it the 899 yourself?
Yes.
Every year, so I suppose if you guys.
I'm way more reliable with my.
Behind.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where we always set up.
Geraldine's not great at that.
Oh, I bet.
And the house, you have to stand on one leg. So in the office, you don't, like you on that leg.
Yeah, I think it's I wish it was better.
Well, I think we all.
Area.
Ready to go out and forth.
I will, but you know, much trouble.
Well, I know, and she was saying, well, it's on the hill, but I don't know why we couldn't put in that bottom street along where the clinic is. Or put it beneath the jet.
You just
Somewhere else.
On the patio.
the insert.
Well, that's Get everybody on.
No, but I mean, pull up next to the tab.
Oh, if everybody could bring their policy numbers next month. That'd be great. To make sure if I need to copies or keep
Oh,
going. Look at the,
And all the.
Sure, little list.
the spreadsheet I just gave you, check and see if what you have matches what's on there. And then you can let me know if you need me to print anything.
Mine should also.
What it should be. I don't know if I do the meeting with policy, but we were gonna add it today.
Yeah. Okay, thank you guys. Thanks, ladies.
And then you gotta come back in for.
Oh,